It's about time we discuss how to date Nigerian men because quite a while back I did tease at the idea of making an episode of this nature. It was a voting situation, and I can't remember what it was that you guys voted for over on the Patreon, but how to date Nigerian men came in at a very close second. So I thought, you know what? Let's give this conversation a chance because I do think the girlies need it because the girlies love Nigerian men. I too am one of the girlies. I too love Nigerian men. I'm a Nigerian woman, specifically an Igbo woman. That's the eastern region of Nigeria. And as an Igbo woman who was born and raised in a Nigerian household where I was the firstborn daughter amongst two younger brothers, I know all too well the experience of what it's like to be in close proximity to Nigerian men who you love. But I also know what it's like to date Nigerian men. I know how to do it wrong and I know how to do it right. So who better to lay it down than me? No, but seriously, guys, I know a thing or two about how to date Nigerian men. And this particular how to is not a one size fits all. It's a one size fits whoever knows how to make it fit for them. Let's put it that way. Because I always say on this podcast, it's actually not by force to date. And why I think it's important to say that is because I noticed that people treat dating as this mandatory human experience that if you miss out on it, then you've missed out on a huge chunk of what it means to be alive and to be present and to experience fulfillment as a person. And I just think that that is not true. Dating is not by force. Dating men is not by force. Do you know what is by force? Breathing. You have to breathe. Your body is built to instinctually urge you to breathe. Would I say that your body is built to instinctually urge you to date men? No. Whilst it can be argued that heterosexuality is not a choice and we don't choose to be straight, we can't help who we're attracted to. I agree with that to a certain extent, but I do think that you can make informed dating decisions, and that is what today's conversation is going to be about, but funneled directly through the angle of dating Nigerian men specifically. So, to start this conversation, I think we need to lay down some context, some foundational theory of Nigerian men, their upbringing, the culture that they come from, and why dating Nigerian men has to be its own topic. Because clearly, this is a pressing matter. So, for those who are not familiar with the cultural context surrounding Nigerian men, within Nigerian culture, Nigerian men are largely pretty much raised to be kings. Doesn't necessarily mean that they have the royalty or lineage to back it up. But what I mean when I say that Nigerian men are typically raised to be kings is there is a level of entitlement and an interesting double standard where Nigerian men get away with so much more than Nigerian women get away with. And as someone that was raised in a Nigerian household, I can share some insight on the things that Nigerian men seem to somehow magically get away with that Nigerian women are punished and penalised for. Number one, housekeeping. I don't think this is limited to just Nigerian culture. I think globally we exist in a system where housekeeping, chores, and everything surrounding running a home is a role that's imposed on women. But when you focus on a region of the world where the culture is largely informed by Abrahamic religion, like Christianity, coupled with patriarchy, alongside the residual effects of colonialism, what you see is an interesting framework where women are definitely expected to not just be subordinates to Nigerian men, but as Nigerian women, you should feel flattered, you should feel joyful, and you should feel a sense of purpose in playing this role that has been imposed on you. The role being clean up after him, answer to him, see him as your leader, and hope, pray, and dote on your lucky stars that he will hopefully one day choose you to be his wife. But it doesn't end at just being chosen as his wife. You may or may not be competing with other wives of his, because some men do take it as far as marrying multiple wives. And this is something that's more common, I would say, in the Islamic culture, because Nigeria has a huge Christian and Muslim dominated religious presence. But even within Christianity, whilst it's not necessarily spoken about or encouraged out loud for Nigerian men who are Christian to marry multiple wives, there is still a culture where they entertain multiple women. So, what I find very fascinating about the idea of loving Nigerian men is that there is a level of cognitive dissonance you need to be willing to dip into in order to love Nigerian men without losing your mind. And I only say that you need to dip into that cognitive dissonance if you're not somebody who is an advanced player like myself. And I feel very confident with describing myself as an advanced player, because this is a game. And why I describe myself as advanced is because I come with the advantage of already being Nigerian, so I know what's up. I know what to expect from Nigerian men, no matter how well-intended, kind or nice they are. I know what's coming. But secondly, I've already had my fair share of firing practice when it comes to dating and dumping men, when it comes to recognizing that if I want to date Nigerian men and keep my sanity, there's a level of apathy that I need to lead with. And that's not going to sound very nice at all. Because it's not nice. And it's not in anyone's nature necessarily to lead with apathy. But it's a specific type of apathy that I'm talking about. I don't mean the apathy in the context of being abusive, horrible, or harmful. I mean apathy in the sense of making it a point and a conscious effort as a woman to not lead with your empathy when dating Nigerian men. You cannot be feeling sorry for them. Yes, I understand that there will be situations where someone might go through something like experiencing loss, coping with grief, maybe finding themselves unexpectedly in an awful and stressful situation. And of course, as a human being, you have empathy for that person. That's different. But where I feel a little funny about being a little too empathetic to these Nigerian men is when they come with a sob story to you as a woman and you fall for the sob story. I have seen many women get scammed by Nigerian men. And when I'm saying this, I don't say this to push the idea that Nigerian men are necessarily scammers. That's not the case, because scamming is something that anybody is capable of, but there's a reason why the phrase 419 exists, yeah? There's a reason why Yahoo Boys is a phrase. If you don't know what 419 or Yahoo Boys is, 419/Yahoo Boys, those phrases can be used interchangeably to point to online fraud. And it's usually a specific set of techniques and tactics that are used. Of course, there's the one where you might receive an email from someone telling you that they are an African king and they have a huge sum of money that they really need to transfer into an overseas account because they have run into some legal troubles over in Africa and they just need your help very briefly to just put the money in your account and they will give you a cut and everything will be hunky-dory. That's one version of the scam. There's another version of the scam which I think we need to specify as the main one we'll focus on, the lover boy scam. And I be seeing white women falling victim to this, and it's hilarious when it happens because it's like, well, I don't feel sorry for neither of all involved. And I'll tell you why. So the lover boy scam is when a man over in Nigeria will create a fake dating app profile. This was more common, especially in like the earlier 2010s, the earlier 2000s, where dating websites were more commonly used, or even Facebook. But a man will create a profile on one of these websites and he will seek out a usually older white woman. It's usually a white woman who is postmenopausal. So you're looking at from like late 50s onwards, that sort of age cluster. They target those women because there's two things going on here. One, there's a strong likelihood that those older white women have a fetish for black men. And two, those older white women feel quite lonely. And so what a lot of these men do in Nigeria is they'll either create a profile where they will steal photos of a good-looking young black man, or the more advanced players will create a profile where they steal photos of a successful-looking young white man. But how they navigate this depends on what they have observed that the ladies' insecurities are. I would say that the women who mainly get got are the ones who have the fetish for black dick. That's why I don't feel sorry for them, because like, ooh. Now, how this scam works is they convince these women that they're in love with them through having chats every day, whether it's on Skype, Messenger, or what they even do is they will do audio calls and they will do their best to put on their best westernized accent, whether that's a British sounding accent, some sort of transatlantic, well-travelled sounding accent that's mixed with a little bit of American accent, a little bit of Nigerian accent, a little bit of British accent. Either way, they're putting on an act for these women to give the impression that their story is a solid one, because they'll create some sort of sub-story. They love bomb these women, and the goal is to get that woman to send money. So what they do is they get her to be emotionally attached and involved. And then they start talking about the visa process. They start talking about, I really want to marry you. So, of course, before you can marry somebody overseas, especially if they're in the Western Hemisphere, you gonna need to get a visa, girl. So what these men do is they need somebody that's going to be the sort of like, not co-signer of the visa, but if someone wants a visa, especially if they want a British visa to come and stay in the UK, somebody needs to write a letter of invitation. So, for example, let's say I have a friend in Nigeria, he's a photographer, he wants to come to London. I can write a letter of invitation, and I can also say that, I'm a well-known public figure. I can vouch that this person is in fact a photographer, their work carries cultural value, and they'll be staying with me. So that adds validity and strength to their application. So for these men, that's what they do. They get these women to write them a letter of invitation, send money for the visa application process, send money, send money, send money. And because these women are in love, because these women are probably widowed or have been single for so long that they've never felt desired in this way, they fall for it head over heels very quickly. And then once a certain amount of money has been transferred and the man on the other end is satisfied with what he's gotten, he'll block and ghost. And the game is the game is the game. It's fascinating. I don't support scamming. I don't think that it's a nice thing for anybody to experience, but at the same time, a part of me is like, well, sorry, white lady, but your people did colonize the Nigerian country, so reparations is going to have to be given somehow, I guess. But at the same time, I see both sides because I'm also like, damn, that's really dark that men are capable of lying to such an extent that they will create a whole storyline and situation where they will convince you that they're in love with you just to get what they want from you. Now, in that example we spoke about, the Nigerian man love bombing that woman for money. There are men who will love bomb you just to access your pussy. Just because a man isn't scamming you for money doesn't mean he isn't scamming you for access to your pussy. So that's why I felt like it was important to bring up the scamming thing as an example. I need to triple reiterate that I am not trying to paint an impression that all Nigerian men are financial scammers. That is not the case. You'll be surprised to know that there are a lot of wealthy Nigerian men who have not accrued their money through scamming. Many of them have accrued their money through oil and inheritance through the oil business because Nigeria has a lot of oil. There are lots and lots of rich men who don't have to be rich through scamming. But I can't say the same in regards to there being lots and lots of men who don't have to get pussy through scamming. Most of them lie to get access to your pussy. So if you're lonely or desperate, you're likely to get got. Okay? Another thing about dating Nigerian men is, I say this to, first of all, set the scene and not to come across like I'm being territorial or possessive. If you don't have the stomach to date Nigerian men, just don't do it, girl. When Nigerian women are warning you guys about Nigerian men, we're not doing it to, oh, leave our men alone. Oh, we're possessive. No. We're warning you to take heed. We are saying, hear ye, hear ye. Hear ye, hear ye. If you do not have the stomach to date a Nigerian man, then stay out of it, innit? Because most of you don't have the stomach. And I say most of you don't have the stomach because the rubbish I'm seeing happening around me, I'm like, girl, personally, I wouldn't have that. Girl, personally, I wouldn't do it that way. But hey, I'm not you, so do your thing in it. But just know, you're not getting that time back. So what am I pointing to? Well, what I'm hinting at here is that having the stomach to date a Nigerian man means you need to be comfortable with cutting them off. You need to be comfortable with being a little rude to them. You need to be comfortable with being wicked and mean and cold. Yeah, and if you don't know how to do any of that, you're going to get stepped on metaphorically. They will just match you. They'll just trample you onto the next. They'll use your head as a stepping stone to get to the next woman that they wanted to get. But I see it happen all the time. The most beautiful women letting themselves be used by Nigerian men. And you know what it is? It's because a lot of women are very ego-based. We speak a lot about the male ego and how easy it is to entice and control a man through his ego. But we don't spend enough time talking about women's ego because women have egos too. But the issue that I find with women's egos is that when a woman's ego is being stroked, it's about what she does with that stroking. So if your ego is being stroked through a man calling you pretty, a man spending money on you, a man taking you shopping, which are all the things that Nigerian men will do to love bomb you, by the way. But if your ego is easily stroked by that, the problem is if you're not using that ego stroke to fulfill and sustain your own agenda, you're going to get got. Because once your ego is easily enticed, it's easier for you to be controlled by that man. And the women who I see that are the most affected by this are the women who are Nigerian men's beauty standard. Do we need to take a wild guess who Nigerian men's beauty standard is? If you're Nigerian, you're not allowed to answer this question because you already know. But for everyone else, can we take a wild guess what Nigerian men's beauty standard is? I'm giving you 5 seconds to think. Did you think? Yeah? You guessed it. It's mixed race women. Yeah! Nigerian men have a thing for light skinned women because they are colorist. Nigerian men don't have a thing for light skinned women because light skinned women are inherently spectacular, intelligent, vibesy, and amazing. No, they like light skinned women because they are colorist. Do you know what colorism is? Colorism is anti blackness. Colorism is disdain and hate towards dark skin. A lot of Nigerian men do not like dark skin. They don't like themselves, and these are dark skinned men themselves. And I've seen this play out time and time again. What's fascinating about my position in this conversation is I am closer to the lighter side of the skin tone spectrum, right? I'm a Fenty shade 390, just to put things into context for the girlies. So, what does that mean for me? That means in the UK, do I experience the benefits of being lighter skinned? Barely. Barely. Do you know why I barely experience the benefits of being lighter skinned in the UK? Because there is a higher population and percentage of visibly mixed race, light skinned women. I'm talking light skin with the 3A curls. I'm talking the kind of light skin where they can glue down their baby hairs with mousse. That kind of light skin, okay? Here in the UK, no matter how light you are, your hair plays a huge role in what kind of privilege you're allocated when it comes to beauty and the politics surrounding that. So, even though I've met mixed race people who have a white parent and a black parent, and those mixed race people I'm talking about are literally the same skin tone as me, because my actual real hair is 4C texture, which means very tight curls. There is no definition to my curls, right? Because my hair is 4C, which codes as incredibly African, I am not allocated the full benefit and privilege package that comes with being light skinned. But when I observe the light skinned women who are the same skin tone as me, but they got the kind of hair that they can glue down with mousse, yeah, I'm talking super silky and soft and curly, they have a completely different lived experience to me just because their hair sets apart their light skinnedness. Because beauty is political. Your appearance is political. Your appearance determines how you're treated in the world. And as a woman, your appearance is all of the difference between you having a promotion or not. Your appearance is all of the difference between you being desired or not. And in effect, your appearance as a woman is the difference between you being chosen by a man or not, especially a Nigerian man. So why I'm talking about my skin tone in this particular context is because, yes, in the UK, I wouldn't really say I benefit from the light skin privilege. But when I go to Nigeria, it's a different conversation, girl. In Nigeria, what's interesting is because the population of lighter skinned people / mixed race people is slightly slimmer. I would say it's way slimmer than slightly. But what I'm getting at here is that light skinned / mixed race people are seen as more desirable in Nigeria. Because you have to also keep in mind that Nigeria is a country that's deeply affected by colorism. Skin bleaching is rife in Nigeria, just like it's rife in India and Pakistan as well, because colorism. So when you're light skinned and you're a shade of brown that is aspirational, there's a definite way that men respond to and treat you that's different to the ways that you're treated in the UK. So in my case, and this is why I only date in Nigeria, I found that dating is way easier for me in Nigeria than it is in the UK. And there are a few moving parts here. First of all, culturally speaking, the kind of men that I attract and the kind of men that I prefer to date, they feel a sense of shame at the idea of splitting bills with a woman. Like, it's completely against the fabric of their wiring. Thank God that they feel that kind of shame, as they should. Yeah. Whereas in the UK, unfortunately, most of these men didn't see their moms being taken care of. Yeah, most of these men, I think they have failed as men. And in my personal opinion, I don't think this is a fact. I think it's an opinion. But in my personal opinion, which is a fact to me, in my personal opinion, if you're a man who is comfortable splitting bills with a woman, you should be very ashamed of yourself, and you should anticipate the day that you're replaced by a man who can actually do his job, because there is somebody out there who can do what you can't do. And in my personal opinion, if you're a man and you're comfortable splitting bills with a woman, the reason why I say you should anticipate the day that you'll be replaced is because it's a man's role to provide. And if you can't fulfill that role, remember what I said at the beginning of this podcast, dating is not by force. I think it's an indication that you still have ducks that need to be put in a row. Your ducks have not been put in a row. Get your ducks in a row. I don't know why you're chasing gal when you should be chasing money, chasing purpose, and chasing a sense of sustenance. Yeah? Because women will not bring you sustenance. Women will bring you procrastination. And if you're actually dating a woman who values herself, you're actually in a cash loss. You're in minus. So you're better off single and focused on that struggling rap career, or whatever it is that you're doing. Focus on that, yeah? And when the time is right, you can pop out and make yourself useful to a woman one day. And this is why I prefer dating men in Nigeria, because the embarrassment, the shame will not allow them to arrive unfinished. Are you okay? Especially because, remember what I was saying about colorism and how there's a novelty that Nigerian men find attractive in mixed race women? It's because of the cultural other and the way that the West places mixed race and light-skinned women on a pedestal of beauty, desirability, and status. Mixed race / light-skinned women are seen as a status symbol. So when I'm in a country like Nigeria, where status is quite literally everything, because Nigeria is a very classist country, I understand that, okay, when I'm here in Nigeria, the reason why it's easier for me to date, the reason why men do what I need them to do, I'm getting money, I'm getting cars, I'm getting all the stuff provided for me. And when I say I'm getting cars, I mean like they're sending cars for me to do what I want to do. They're picking me up in nice cars. I'm getting all that happen for me at ease with no friction whatsoever, because they see me as a prize. And part of why they see me as a prize is because of the visual aspect of how things appear to other people when they are seen with me. I am completely aware that these men don't necessarily find me attractive on the onset because I'm an amazing, smart, philosophical babe who has great vibes and who knows how to talk about everything from art to media to culture to history, geography, you name it. They don't give a fuck about that. They give a fuck about, oh, I like her breast. The tattoos are quite enticing. She's light skinned. I like her British accent. She's pretty. She's sassy. I like the way she shakes her bum when she dances. You know, the more surface level things. And I'm not mad about that, because I am also dating them for things that benefit me. I'm dating them for their money. I'm dating them for the ego boost. I'm dating them for the attention while the attention lasts. That's all. So, the point I'm making with that is, if you're going to be dating Nigerian men, you need to know exactly what you want to get from them, and you need to know why they like you. And I'm not saying that Nigerian men don't find dark-skinned women attractive, because first of all, dark-skinned women are attractive, and there are many dark-skinned women who experience the same lifestyle, privileges, and benefits as mixed-race women. But there is a level of power dynamics at play here. So if you're a dark-skinned woman and you're navigating dating Nigerian men, there's a level of self-esteem you need to have that it's almost like you need to work harder to be impenetrable than a white or mixed race girl needs to work. Because remember that white and mixed race people are seen as status symbols for Nigerian men who hate themselves. And if I was a mixed race woman, I would feel very ashamed to be dating somebody who's only dating me because they don't like their mom. Because the reality is, these men that these mixed race women are dating are born to black, dark-skinned mothers. But isn't it fascinating that a man can dislike features about his mother and his sister, and you still think that is a sound person to date? Because I've been in conversations where a man has expressed colorist sentiments to me in front of his mixed-race girlfriend, and neither person challenged it. And I made a mental note of that. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So the colorist sentiment that was expressed to me by this black Nigerian man was, um, we were talking about hair, and I showed him a picture of what my actual real hair looks like, because underneath my wigs, I've actually got locks, as in what people call dreadlocks. And so I showed him a picture of me with my natural hair, and his immediate remark was a giggle followed by, "You look like a man." I found that very weird. That the first remark that would come from a Nigerian man when shown a picture of a Nigerian woman with her natural hair out is that she looks like a man. Would you tell Lisa Bonet that she looks like a man for having locks? Would you tell Zoe Kravitz that she looks like a man for having her hair in that almost locked form? Would you tell Zendaya that she looks like a man for having locks? Very interesting. I don't see mixed race women being told that they appear more masculine when they have hairstyles that appear to be less molded for the white gaze. Found that very interesting. But when he made that remark, I made a silent note of it. And his girlfriend didn't say anything. And I was like, interesting. Okay. But the thing is, I wasn't angry at the girlfriend for not saying anything, because it's like, well, duh. Like, because the girlfriend was mixed race. And I'm like, well, this is the thing. Like, most mixed race people, they don't critically engage with the world around them because they don't want to. And the reason why they have the choice to not do so is because they are not impacted by colorism. It's just like how you could be a dark-skinned black person, but you don't have any disabilities, right? So because you're not disabled, you don't have any reason to critically engage with the world around you and ask, wait, why are there no ramps here? Why is there no wheelchair access in this building? Why are stairs everywhere when a large percentage of the population are disabled or will eventually be disabled at some point in their life, i.e. old age or a spontaneous incident that could render you disabled? Why is the world inaccessible? Like, it's not the default for able-bodied people to question why the world is inaccessible, because they benefit from the world being tailored to their needs, unless that able-bodied person goes out of their way to critically question and think. There are some able-bodied people who do question and critically observe the world around them, but that's because they choose to. And that's because they're doing the right thing. So in a similar stance, when it comes to mixed race women, they are the weak links, just like how I describe black men too as the weak links of our society. A weak link is just like how the metaphor points to a chain, a link in the chain that is not working, so it pulls the whole thing apart. That's how I see mixed race women and black men. I see black men as weak links because I don't see them advocating enough for black women. What I see is the moment a black woman speaks up and addresses colorism or addresses anti-blackness or addresses misogynoir, that black woman is immediately shut down and told that she's speaking badly about black men and that she just hates black men. And oh my goodness, let that black woman be seen even dating a white man. Similarly with mixed race women, it's like, I don't expect mixed race women to carry the flag of colorism from a stance of, let's talk about colorism, let's end colorism, let's address colorism. No, they're more concerned with gluing their baby hairs and dating black men who will spend money on them and express colorist sentiments, and they all laugh, yeah, because they benefit from that. That's why when I look at mixed race women doing their thing, I side eye, but I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to come and fight them. I'm not going to come and tell them, stop dating Nigerian men. Because you know what? I've seen it happen, yeah, time and time again, where women who are the beauty standard think that automatically means they're going to be treated well. Not always necessarily, especially if you're dating Nigerian men. Do you know what I found is interesting with dating Nigerian men, especially if you are the beauty standard, aka mixed race slash light skin. First of all, a lot of them think you're stupid. And when I've seen black men, specifically Nigerian men, thinking women are stupid, it's mainly the white women. Because remember, we've been talking about mixed race women a lot in this conversation because it is a large context of Nigerian men and their desirabilities and or who they desire, I should say. But white women, do you guys remember the earlier 2000s, right? If you're a millennial, I expect you to know this. Gen Z, I'll cut you some slack in it because you guys are still babies. Do you guys remember the earlier 2000s when being a wag, so like a footballer's girlfriend or footballer's wife, was a huge thing? This is like the Victoria Beckham days, right? Like the Wayne Rooney, Colleen Rooney days, right? Do you remember when they would show black footballers and then they will pan to the audience to show their wife and it's white women? Like, do you remember that? I'm saying, do you remember that? Like anything has changed that much. I mean, they're still really doing it. But this was a huge thing in the earlier 2000s where black footballers, visibly successful black men, they almost always had a white woman on their arm. I want you to use your brain and question why you think that is. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that black successful footballers were largely gravitating towards dating white women? There it is, because they're a status symbol. Yeah. Remember that when it comes to football, right? A lot of footballers have come from zero to success. And where their zero began was probably in a rural community somewhere in Africa, specifically Nigeria. They worked hard, they got scouted, they kept working hard, they made it to a Premier League team, and now they're successful. They can have any woman that they want. Of course, that person's going to go for what appears to be the most visible emblem of success, and that's a white woman. When you look at how the world works, when you look at how certain people are positioned as beautiful, it's white women who are upheld as the apex of beauty. Whilst I don't think that's necessarily the truth, it's the reality that we are forced to live in. And so, off the back of that, when I used to see black men coupling up with white women, it used to feel very weird because it's like, look, I don't think white women are unattractive. I think every woman is attractive in her own way, but it is very strange to observe black men dating black women in the minority when they're in positions of that scale of success, and because it comes down to the optics. So what I'm saying, if you want to date Nigerian men, you need to have the stomach. You need to also have the brain to critically engage with the desire that they have for you. You need to ask yourself why that man likes you. The only times where I feel like you don't need to question the optics of why that Nigerian man likes you is if you're a black woman as well. Like, if you're visibly black, if you're dark skinned and a dark skinned man likes you too, great. I don't think you need to question the optics. You still need to question what he wants to get from you, though. You need to question why he wants to be with you. Because remember, men are conditioned to lead with the selfishness of their horniness. But coming back to this conversation of Nigerian men and their love for white and light skin, it's all about status, all about optics, all about appearing successful. And for whatever reason, they think that being seen with a woman who looks like the same community they're from doesn't really shout the success that they want to be seen as. Because it's about white validation. Y'all ain't slick. But what's interesting is seeing these mixed race women and these white women who are taking the black dick that they've so craved so hard for. Yeah, these men be talking to you guys anyhow, and you be taking it. I see it happen all the time, and I'm like, that's interesting. If I was the beauty standard, yeah, I would be moving mad. Like, I would be a supervillain in these men's lives. I will make them do whatever I say. And that's why the little beauty privilege that I'm allocated when I go to Nigeria, because of how this whole thing works with what I just explained about colorism and light-skinnedness and desirability, the little power that I'm given when I go to Nigeria, trust and believe I use it. Trust and believe, girl. I don't let myself get too swept up in the ego boost of it all. I remind myself, okay, this man likes me. There's a likelihood that he's drawn to me for my physical appearance. How can I use this to my benefit? Rather than getting lost in the ego stroke of it all. Because remember that Nigerian men, not only are they love bombers, they're gaslighters as well. And I don't feel the need to be saying, oh, but not all, some. Look, this conversation is about how systems affect people. This conversation is about how groups of people have a certain reputation. So if you don't like the fact that I'm not saying not all and some, then just come out of the podcast, innit? Because I'm not that person who cares too much to be making these little distinctions every time about, oh, but not all men, because we know what we're talking about here. It's like the whole idea of like saying men will most likely attack you if you are walking in a short skirt on a dark road at 11 p.m. I think we can all agree with that statement, and that's the reason why you're not going to be seeing any of us out at 11 p.m. on our own on a dimly lit road in a mini skirt, because we know what men are capable of. So we don't need to say hashtag not all men to still make the same point, because it's about safety. Glad we got that out of the way. Anyway, I noticed with a lot of these mixed race women and white women, they don't have the stomach to date Nigerian men because they've never had to develop the stomach. They've never had to learn how to assert themselves and put their foot down, because most times there's someone giving them attention. And that's good for them. Me, I'm grateful to be born into the skin I'm born into, because I've had the opportunity to not just character build, but I know how to use my voice. I know how to open my throat and say exactly what it is that I need. I ain't scared of these men. I'm not scared to say what I need. I'm not scared to leave if I'm not getting what I need. My issue with Nigerian men is that, yeah, they will lie to you a lot. They're going to cheat. And everyone likes to think that they're the exception. But the issue is that these people who think they're the exception, they're not behaving exceptionally. If you want to believe you're the exception, you need to behave exceptionally. Do you know what behaving exceptionally looks like? That means being the woman that he never expected you to be. Because the woman he expects you to be is a pushover, a pick-me, and a clingy, digmatized lady who doesn't know how to walk away because he bought you Van Cleef. You don't know how to walk away because he took you to a shisha bar, and all his friends are wearing AP watches. You need to want more for yourself, because I think that if you want to date Nigerian men, first of all, let me tell you why Nigerian men are alluring and fun to date. Because Nigerian men have egos, especially the ones in Nigeria, because Nigerian men have egos, they will really show you a good time. Like, they want to actually impress you. And in that early love bombing stage, make the most of it, enjoy it, and make sure that you're acting like you're in on their little game. Don't let them clock that you know that what they're doing is love bombing. Just pretend like you have no idea. Are you having a good time? Yeah. Yes, I am having a good time. What? Oh my goodness, I'm having so much fun. You gotta really know how to play the game, girl. Because what Nigerian men don't like is when you outsmart them. That's why you have to find a cunning and sly way to outsmart them. Because in order to outsmart somebody, the act of outsmarting someone is doing so in a way where they don't even know. Do you get? And so when it comes to that, I believe strongly that when you're outsmarting a Nigerian man, which I've spoken about this here and there before on the podcast, but I want to be more specific in this particular episode that we've dedicated to Nigerian men. When you're outsmarting Nigerian men, there's a way you have to use language to condition them to continue the behavior that you like. And if you're not someone that is smart, observant, and tactful, this will go over your head. So let's talk about using language then. Well, when I'm dating men and I'm reinforcing the behavior that I like, I do it in a way where, like, it's like once they hear me say it, they want to do more of it because they like the way it sounds when I say it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say maybe there's a guy who, um, he was just really helpful to me. He sent me some money and then we went on a date. You know, just that fun baby girl experience. The way I'll compliment him will be phrased along the lines of, you know, I wanted to say this to you the other day, but it completely slipped my mind. I just think that you're such a gentleman and it really turns me on the way that you take care of me so well. I am really enjoying getting to know you. And if things continue as they're going, I don't see why our connection can't get stronger. There are so many things that I want to do with you. And I believe that as our bond grows, we will feel more and more intimate with each other. So in that phrasing, what I'm essentially saying is, if you carry on, you carry on sending me money, you carry on taking me shopping, you carry on treating me good like you're doing, we're gonna fuck soon. But soon could mean anything. It's vague language, but I think with men, you need to use what you know about men to your advantage. You and I know that men are horny people. You and I know that, okay? If you're old enough to listen to this podcast, which I hope you are, you better be. But if you're old enough to listen to this podcast, then you're old enough to know that men are horny individuals. That's why I like using the phrase turn on strategically. Okay? I like telling Nigerian men that certain things are a turn on for me. Just like how when they piss me off, I like to slice their ego in half and say that behavior was a huge turn off. That's a huge turn off for me, and that has made me see you differently, which is such a shame because I was really starting to find myself opening up to you. When you say that to them, it's going to be like, oh shit, turn off. Turn off is mad, you know. Turn off is that's quite a leap. Especially when you couple it with, because I was really finding myself opening up to you. Because, you know, opening up is double entendre. Double entendre. Opening up as in, you know, telling you more, but also opening up. Now they're going to be like, oh, fuck. Because one thing a man doesn't like, especially a Nigerian man, one thing a man does not like is when his progress is starting to get undone. Things were going so well and you spoiled it. Especially when it's a situation that he can actually redeem. That's how you train them. If you don't have the stomach to train men, stay out of Nigerian men's way, yeah? Go and be dating the other boys that you're used to, yeah? Nigerian men, I would say the people who can actually get the best experience out of Nigerian men, surprise, surprise, it's actually not mixed race women. It's women who are dominant. But it's a dominant that you have to refine and tailor specifically for Nigerian men, because Nigerian men like feeling like they're in charge. So there's a way you have to navigate it where you make things feel like it's his idea, but you are using your own feminine coercion to tilt and direct the conversation in a way that suits your agenda. You need to have an agenda when you're dating Nigerian men because they've always got an agenda. The agenda is to sleep with you. What's your agenda going to be? Because my agenda is money and chopping fun life. Yes. And I say that with my chest. Just like how Nigerian men feel no way about sleeping with you, I don't feel any way about spending a man's money. I feel nothing in that region at all. And I'm glad that my apathy has led me here. It took me a while, you know, because remember, I'm neurodivergent. So my default is to be overtly empathetic to the point where it gets in my way. And in the past, when I was younger, my empathy used to put me in a lot of danger because I'll be empathetic towards men, and then I find myself in a situation I got no business being in because I was being empathetic. But now I've learned, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. Men know what they're doing, and I find it very laughable that a man will ask a woman for money before he asks his fellow man for money because he's embarrassed to ask his fellow man, but he knows that he can play on a woman's empathy to ask her for money. And you lot will open your teeth and shine your teeth and still give them money. I don't like that for you guys. That's bad behavior. Don't be doing that. But look, like I said, if you don't have the stomach to date Nigerian men, stay out of it. Stay out of there. Because I've seen many soldiers fall. And it's always a case of, see, it tries to tell you. Do you know how many conversations I've been in with women, yeah, who, like, they got a man they're dating, the man is Nigerian, and these are the prettiest of girls. And I keep saying the same thing to them. You're being too nice. You're not supposed to go back. Even if he has bought you gift, he has to buy you ×3 gift this time round to say sorry. Like, you lot are not you guys are not turning up the heat at all, and I hate that for you guys. You don't have the stomach for it. You don't have it. What I was saying earlier about women who can really benefit from dating Nigerian men are dominant women. Let me expand on this further. So I'll use myself as an example because I'm a dominant woman, right? But the type of dominance that I do with white men is not the type of dominance I'll do with a Nigerian man in Nigeria. The type of dominance I do with white men is a lot more on the nose. Like, I feel very, very comfortable bitching white men around because I think it's fair play given that they enslaved black women and desecrated the country that I come from. So I think it's payback time. And if we're both in on it, then great. Works for me, works for you, good. Kneel down, don't look me in the eyes, you fucking little bitch. But when it comes to Nigerian men in Nigeria, that's not how I exude my dominance. How I exude my dominance is like a Trojan horse. So, the Trojan horse approach, in my definition, first of all, if you don't know what a Trojan horse is actually a real life event that happened in a war many hundreds of years ago, where essentially the opposition decided that they were going to present a gift to their op. A gift in the form of a giant horse. But the horse was a statuesque kind of horse that was on wheels. So as they were wheeling this statuesque gifted horse thing into the palace of their op, when they realized they were on the premises, they jumped out of the horse and the beef began. And it was an iconic battle. So if that analogy gives more clarity here as to my Trojan horse approach, what that means in the context of being dominant around Nigerian men who live in Nigeria is I appear to be everything you want on paper. Sexy, big titties, funny, cute, a little sassy but not too sassy because I don't want to threaten your ego too early, do I? But where the Trojan horse technique comes in is, as they fall more and more for my beauty, I make sure that outside of being nice to them, I'm a little mean. My way of flirting with Nigerian men is so different to how I flirt with white men, you know. It's actually funny. When I'm flirting with white men, first of all, it's very rare that I flirt with white men. But when I do, it's mainly from a place of, like, I'm assuming that they've got a submissive streak to them. So I flirt in that direction. Like, I make them do things for me. And then I might be like, good boy. You love being useful to me, don't you? I can tell you're enjoying this a little too much. Come here. Come sit next to me. Like, that's my way of flirting with white men. But with black men, especially Nigerian men, my way of flirting, right? It on the outside, if you were a fly on the wall, you'd be like, girl, what are you doing? This is not good. This is not working. I'll tell you what I do with Nigerian men. When they approach me in a party, because it's mainly party environments. This happened recently, actually, but it was in London. But he was Nigerian. was at a party, and I looks good. I'm a good dancer, so I was enjoying myself. And when I go to parties, I'm not looking for man. I'm looking for a good time. I'm looking for good music. I'm looking for the DJ that will be playing as much Afrobeats as possible. Yeah? I'm not looking for, oh, is there a man who's going to take me on a date? No, no. Because I found in my experience that when you know how to have a good time and you're really self-centered in your vibe, men are so drawn to you. And that's always been the case for me. So anytime I go to a party, I'm incredibly confident that somebody's going to come talk to me. Like, it's a matter of time. So at this particular party, I was with a friend of mine, both of us beautiful black women, both of us Nigerian, enjoying our dancing to our Afrobeat, yeah? This guy now comes up to me. Because I was looking down while dancing and he appeared, all I saw was his shoe. I saw Gucci shoe, like a Gucci trainer. So I said, oh, interesting, okay. But his whole outfit was designer. So I was like, okay, at least this one is definitely going to buy me a drink because he's clearly not lacking in that department. At least it appears so. So I noticed he was giving me the eye, looking at me, but I was ignoring him. He came, he tried to talk to me, and I was being a little sassy, kind of like playfully dancing in front of him, and like stuck my tongue at him and turned around and just ignored him. And that was really confusing and enticing for him. And so he wouldn't go away. So then he came to me again. He was like, what's your name? And I was like, David. On God, I swear to you, that's what I said to him. My friend was there. She's a witness. I was like, my name is David. I even do it, and I do it with a Nigerian accent because I actually don't care. When men can see that you don't even care about them moving to you, they're so enticed by that because they're like, she's sexy and she doesn't even care. I'm even trolling him. She's even trolling me by calling herself David. That means that so many guys have approached her today that she doesn't even care how this goes. And that's the truth. So many men had approached me by the time that he came up to me that I didn't care. And even if he was the first guy that approached me that night, it still would have been the same thing. I still would have told him my name is David because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care why you're talking to me. I assume that you're talking to me because you like how my bum is bouncing and you're enticed and you're hoping that you can say the right shuffle of words and it will result in me sleeping with you within the next couple weeks. Anyway, my name is David. And he's like, don't be silly, what's your name? My name is David now. And then he made a joke being like, what? So is your friend's name Goliath? And I was like, yes, you know. Then he was like, what do you want to drink? And I was like, I like a white wine, please. And so that playful switch from being a little standoffish and playfully telling him that my name is David as a way to put him off. Then when he asked me, what do you want to drink? I was like, white wine, please. He's now like, okay, she's obviously flirting back with me. But because my style of flirting is nothing like he's ever seen before, he's enticed. I'm telling you guys, there's a level of confidence you need to have when you're messing about with Nigerian men. Okay, you need to treat them like they are replaceable until they give you reason to think otherwise. And reason to think otherwise is subjective. Because a man needs to work hard to even believe that he's irreplaceable. One Van Cleef bracelet won't do it. Also, Van Cleef is tired now. I feel bad for Van Cleef. They're going outside like Cartier. You remember when Cartier love bracelets was the thing? When Cartier love bracelets was the ultimate status symbol of I've got a rich boyfriend or somebody rich loves me. Like anytime you see someone wearing that Van Cleef, anytime you see someone wearing that Cartier love bracelet, do you know what I'm talking about? You can Google it. It's very recognizable. Back then in the 2010s, when you see someone wearing Cartier love bracelet and it's stacked, you're like, raw, this person is literally wearing like 40k on their wrist from just bracelets. But what's happened is the Cartier love bracelet has gone out very sad because it's been duped so much that Cartier have said by themselves that they no longer offer verification for their own products because now the dupes are so good that they can't even tell the difference between their own products and the dupes that are out there. Which is crazy because now that devalues the Cartier love bracelet. Because if you're seen wearing the Cartier love bracelet, some people might think that it's just a fake one. And that's not a problem if you know it's real and it was a gift for you, but it's just about, remember that when it comes to luxury items, a huge reason why people buy into it is because of the status that being seen wearing that item allocates you. So I believe now, the 2020s, the Van Cleef Alhambra bracelet is like the Cartier love bracelet of the 2020s. So the Van Cleef and Alhambra bracelet, you've definitely seen it. It looks like a 4-leaf clover, and it's commonly worn in the malachite one. Malachite is like a green stone that has dark green and light green sweeps across the stone. You see it in the malachite, you see it in the mother of pearl style, you know? Very common. Very, very common, to the point now where the dupes are so good that you can, at face value, at a brief glance, you cannot tell the difference between a real Van Cleef Alhambra bracelet and a fake Van Cleef Alhambra bracelet. Especially if the person wearing it is wearing other luxury items, or that person's style is so neat and classy that it almost adds validity to this possibly fake designer jewelry that they're wearing. So I'm saying all that to say, if a man has bought you a Van Cleef, even if it's a real one, that's no longer enough of a reason for you to be excited enough to see him as this sort of irreplaceable, oh my goodness, because the Van Cleef Alhambra doesn't carry the same weight that it once did, maybe this time 6 years ago. So you're going to need to find a new status symbol to bind yourself to if that's what gets you going. I do wonder what the next piece of it jewelry is going to be, because the Alhambra is going out sad. Sorry to Van Cleef, because it's going to get to a stage where Van Cleef will also say, oh, we cannot offer verification for our own jewelry because there are so many dupes out there that are so identical to our real one. It's crazy. It is crazy. That's why I think it's so important that if you date Nigerian men, you need to have a goal. You need to have something in mind that you want to work for you. You're better off him sending you money than him buying you stuff. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with the stuff, because you can also use that stuff to attract other men. Because remember that if you like dating Nigerian men, they're visual. And remember that they like status. So with Nigerian men who like status, they are more likely to be drawn to a woman who appears rich. Because in their mind, what they think is that, oh, this woman appears rich. That means that she's used to dating men like me who can take care of her. And men, especially Nigerian men, are in competition with other non-existent hypothetical men. So give them something to work towards. You cannot date Nigerian men and be a lover girl. Babe, it's 2024. Like, you need to grow a backbone. Like, girl, stand up. You think that's going to work? If you want to do lover girl, lover boy, go and find you a white boy who is going to be all about his black queen. Yeah? If you want to do up lifestyle, fast lane, and you want to do that with Nigerian men, you're going to need to be a very fast babe. You're going to need to be quick and sharp on your feet. And the most important thing you're going to need to learn is how to walk away at the first sight of bad behavior and inconvenience. How dare you? Am I your mate? I'm not your mate. And now you're going to find out that I'm not your mate, because now you're blocked. I don't care that you've already spent 30k on me. You're blocked. Because when Nigerian men see that you can block them after they spent so much money on you, they fall in more love with you, because they're like, wow, this is the girl of my dreams. I have to keep on working to earn her trust. Oh my God. So I'm saying, man. So for you lot that are dating Nigerian men and you're doing mumu crybaby pushover, I'm giving you the biggest side eye. Side eye of all side eye. Because it's embarrassing. And that shit don't work. You want to be emotional and lovey-dovey? Go and find you a white boy that was raised in the west of the world who is going to wait hand and foot on you and who's going to talk about emotions with you. You don't be discussing emotions with Nigerian man. You make them pay for their crimes in cash or whatever you need from them. So, is there a car you've been wanting for a while? Yeah? Make sure he buys you that car to say sorry. I'm telling you, a lot of women who you see with these lovely designer gifts and items, those gifts didn't come from a place of, wow, I love you so much, baby. I thought of you. Here you go. Here's a nice car. No, a lot of those gifts you're seeing are I'm sorry gifts. I'm sorry gifts slap the hardest because a man is most agreeable when he is either horny or sorry. So do with that what you will. Yeah. I think I've made every point I want to make in this, outside of the last point being a lot of Nigerian men, they are in emotionally incestuous relationships with their mothers. Yeah? So if you have this dream fantasy of having this perfect family unit, I would just say dream with caution. I'm not saying every Nigerian man is in an incestuous relationship with his mother, but a large majority of Nigerian men have possessive mothers who are very much involved in their lives. There is an emotional incest going on over there. So don't expect to be welcomed so warmly by his mother if his mother is used to him providing for her, and now you've come into the picture as his girlfriend and you're some light-skinned girl. Oh my god. Because a lot of these Nigerian mothers, what they want is for their son to marry somebody that's within their tribe, within their more immediate culture, because there is that cultural pride of having the traditional wedding and all the elders and the wider family members knowing each other. So if you're coming in from the outside, just be prepared to keep that one in mind too. Just saying. That won't be the case all the time, but it's something to keep in mind. Yeah? Outside of that, I do want to wrap this up by saying Nigerian men are very sexy. I'm not going to take that away from them. Okay? If I don't end up with a white man, I'm definitely going to be with a Nigerian man. It's going to be one of the two. At the moment, the workforce has a diverse mixture, but in terms of the man that I will eventually claim when I finally decide to get my act together and settle down, boring. No, I'm joking, but like, if you see me posted up with a man one day and I'm claiming him in public, he's either going to be a white man or he's going to be a Nigerian man. If he's going to be a Nigerian man, he's definitely going to be significantly older, minted, and more in love with me than I am with him. If you see me posted up with a white man, he's definitely going to be significantly minted and more in love with me than I am with him. He doesn't necessarily need to be that much older, but I found that my leverage works best if I'm dating black men, they're much older than me. But when I'm dating white men, it's interesting. They don't have to necessarily be that much older than me for me to still have leverage because I'm a black woman. And there's a superiority that they recognize in me that I don't think is the case with black Nigerian men. I hope that episode was helpful. And look, if you're a mixed race woman and you heard any of this and you were offended, all I can say is that I hope that your fragility eases as you educate yourself on how the world around you works. If you're a mixed race woman, you're not a victim of colorism. You might have felt othered by the idea of being the only light-skinned person in your community. Maybe you've probably even experienced a level of exclusion. But I promise you, babe, that's not colorism. That's the residual effects of colonialism. And it's not fair that you've experienced that, but it's not called colorism. Yeah? That is a build-up of resentment that black people have formed as a result of experiencing the othering that oftentimes comes from mixed race people, where mixed race people do have a thing where they know that they get preferential treatment in the world, but they don't want to address it, either because they don't have the intellectual bandwidth, which is its own other conversation, side eye, or they don't want to address it because it's inconvenient and they don't want to rock the boat. They're benefiting from being the chosen one all the time. Why would they want to stop being the chosen one? Because let me be honest, yeah, if I was born mixed race with that flat curly hair, then I too would probably be spending more of my time reaping the privileges than trying to unpack why I have the privileges and why I should be using my position to speak up for those who have less societal power than me. Most people aren't doing that, but the mixed race people who are doing that, I rate you. Thank you. We have the example of Angela Davis. She's a great example. I do think mixed race people have a huge role to play in the colorism conversation. But like I said, intellectual bandwidth, it's probably not there. I'm not seeing it for them. What I see for them is they just lights are on, no one's home kind of energy. That's not the case for every mixed race woman, but many who I've met, it is the case, right? There's nothing up there but YSL bags and some great chat, you know? And I hear it. I hear it. It's fine. It is what it is. Not everybody is going to have the same role in this world. Do your best with what you have, but I would implore and try to encourage mixed race women to question the desirability that surrounds them. Question why men are drawn to you. I wouldn't even bother questioning the men because they're not going to tell you, oh, the reason why I like you is because I'm a colorist and I don't like my mum. They're not going to tell you that. They'll tell you they like you because you're paying in it. Because you're pretty in it. Because you got good vibes in it. But it's your job to probe into that in your own way and figure out how all of these power systems work. Just like how I, a somewhat light-skinned person, am able to recognize that two things can be true at once. I can experience the oppression of colorism in the UK and racism in the UK, especially when I'm around actual mixed race people and I'm like, oh, I'm the dark skinned friend today. That's fine. Listen, whoever's going to give me a pity drink, I'll take it. I don't care because I know I'm beautiful. It's never that serious. But I also know that when I move to a different region of the world, I experience what these mixed race women are living every day. And I'm like, that's interesting. Interesting, but I'm not going to take it as a validator of my worth. I'm going to take it as these men are colorist. I also happen to be attractive. When those two themes combine, we get this kind of situation where, yeah, these guys are chatting me up because they like the idea of me. But once they find out that I'm an intellectual woman and their love bombing will only last a certain period of time before they realize it's not working, they'll move on to the next person. And that's fine. The game is the game is the game. So yes, Nigerian men, I think you guys are sexy. I think you're beautiful. I think a lot of you are colorist. Two things could be true at once. You're probably going to hate me for this podcast. You guys are definitely going to be in my comment section calling me ugly because that's what you do when you don't know how to intellectually navigate discourse. You call a woman ugly. I know I'm not ugly. I know your mum is though. And I hope that you find the peace and the corrective aesthetic help that you need. Outside of that, thank you for listening to this episode, and I appreciate everyone who supports me. And as always, I will catch you in the next one.